to Tech Ambrosia. For my last Geode video, I don't really want to do a big send-off, but I do want to bring all of my Geodes together, one model from each family released over the 10 years that Nat Semi and AMD were developing it, and kinda do a Geode parade of sorts, highlighting each system and comparing performance. All set? Bottoms up. Let's start at the beginning, the Geode GXM, a rebadged MediaGXM. It has the same performance, same available clock speeds, same heat output, and requires the same voltages. In all cases I've found so far, it's even come in the same packaging. In this case, PGA 321 or socket 7. I don't think the GXM ever made it into a single board computer, at least not that I've noticed while searching for other Geodes on eBay. As far as performance, it's a MediaGX, which means it's a Cyrix 5x86 with an integrated memory controller and no level 2 cache, so it's about 50 to 60% of the performance of a Pentium MMX at the same clock speed. Since that clock speed tops out at 266, it's not a great deal of performance, all things considered. So how suitable is it for building a retro gaming PC? In my opinion, it's extremely suitable, especially if you're targeting DOS. I went over this in my build guide for the MediaGX platform last week, but TLDR, if you're looking for a pure DOS gaming PC, and especially if you're thinking of building from scratch, I think this is the ticket. One thing I do want to note is that the built-in VGA runs a little slow in Doom for some reason. It's not unplayable, but if you are familiar with how fast Doom should run on a Pentium 133 type of machine, you'll be surprised at the score you get in the benchmark. If you didn't know that Doom has a benchmark mode, you probably wouldn't even notice, since it keeps above 30 FPS and Doom tops out at 35. In my testing, this also didn't seem to apply to Heretic or Hexen, both of which also use the Doom engine, but run quite nicely on the built-in VGA, so... Anyway, on to the next chip, the Geode GX1. This was Nat Semi's first embedded version of the Geode that saw widespread dissemination into the marketplace, as evidenced by the large number of GX1-based embedded systems and single-board computers on the secondary market today. It wasn't exclusively embedded though, as they did release some copies in PGA 21 packaging like this one. The improvements that Nat Semi made to this chip were pretty much limited to adding some LCD panel compatibility options to the built-in VGA controller. Early LCD panels had arrived at this point, and a lot of these panels' controllers depended on the attached video card to scale signals that were below the panel's native resolution. The rest of the SoC is identical, save for using less power and producing less heat, thanks to the die shrink. Performance per clock is identical to the GXM, but the die shrink did enable two additional speeds that I've seen in the wild, 333 MHz and more commonly 300 MHz. This Geode is also the last one in the product line to retain Sound Blaster compatibility within the CPU's audio circuitry. So, how suitable is this chip for building a retro gaming PC? Also extremely suitable, with the same feature set as the GXM, as well as, unfortunately, the same quirks. It fills the same niche as the GXM and fills it pretty perfectly. In my opinion, this chip is best paired with the CX5530 motherboard meant for the Geode GXM, because then you get the slightly improved performance of the 300 MHz GX1 while retaining the excellent expandability of the GXM's platform. However, its presence in single-board computer form makes for the perfect opportunity to create some very interestingly sized DOS computers. Now, according to everything I've been able to research about the Geode, Nat Semi did develop a follow-on to the GX1, unsurprisingly named the GX2. However, I've not been able to find it in the wild, even in thin client PCs, which seem to be where these last two Geodes found their niches when they were new. So until I find better evidence, I'm going to treat the Nat Semi Geode GX2 and the AMD Geode GX as the same system on a chip, just with different packaging. My assumption is bolstered by the fact that the AMD Geode GX identifies itself to CPU ID queries as a Nat Semi Geode, which tells me that these were at least taped out by the time AMD acquired the Geode line from NSC, and there wasn't an opportunity to change the CPU ID strings before AMD's logo got stamped on the chip packages. If you know more about the Geode GX than this, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. This geode is notable for being a major step up in performance. All of the benchmarks show marked improvement, and Dune and Quake are downright smooth on this CPU. The VGA controller has definitely seen an upgrade, as Dune turns in frame rates approximately triple those of the GX1 and the GXM. The memory controller has also been upgraded to handle DDR SDRAM, and the memory access benchmarks confirmed the increase in memory bandwidth. That's the end of the good news, though, because when they updated the SoC, they removed Sound Blaster compatibility. The Geode still outputs audio from the CPU, but it goes to an AC97 codec chip on the board, and all the boards I've seen so far have used Realtek AC97 codecs. Traditionally, some VIA and SIS AC97 chipsets have included Sound Blaster emulation in their chipset sound drivers, but these do not exist for the GX2 as far as I can find. And if you say, oh, that's fine, I'll just play Windows games on it, there are no Windows 98 drivers for this Geode. When it was released, it officially supported Windows CE, and later Windows XP Embedded, so as far as DOS compatibility, you're only getting VGA, and as far as Windows 98, nothing. No compatibility at all. The bad news doesn't end there, though. These were exclusively embedded processors, so expansion possibilities like, say, adding a DOS-compatible sound card are pretty much non-existent. Vocon's user Rasteri has prototyped and built a PC104 DOS-compatible sound card using a Crystal audio chip. So if you do manage to find a GX2 with PC104 header, you can build one of these and get some really excellent DOS gaming in a very small form factor. If you end up doing this, please comment down below. I haven't found a GX2 yet that includes a PC104 header, but also isn't astronomically expensive. Most of the affordable GX2s that I've found in the wild have come from thin client PCs, with as little expansion capability as humanly possible in order to keep costs down, as well as prevent the thin clients from being used as general-purpose PCs outside of a subscription support contract. I have some thoughts about thin client PC manufacturers' behavior towards these systems in regards to right to repair and malicious generation of e-waste, but that's for a different video. Suffice to say, if you're still looking to hack a Geode GX2 or AMD Geode GX, shoot for specific models of thin clients that are known to use non-proprietary connectors and buses internally to increase your chances of success. This GX2, for example, came from a Wise S90 thin client, which uses an annoying but at least standardized 44-pin IDE connector for the onboard IDE bus. So, suitability for a retro gaming PC? In my opinion, 0. No sound in DOS and no anything in Windows makes these things basically bricks. Something e-waste. Unless your idea of a retro PC involves Linux, because these are fully supported under Linux and even have GCC optimization options, assuming you can get around their weird BIOS quirks, which you can if you buy a PLCC EEPROM programmer. Go get 'em. Okay, last chip, and this is the whole reason I made this video, the Geode LX. This SoC is the last Geode release that bears any architectural resemblance at all to the original MediaGX. This is the part where you'd expect me to say that this is just a GX2 with a die shrink, but it actually got some impressive additions to its silicon. CPU performance is up again thanks to an enlarged level 1 cache and the addition of level 2 cache for the first time. It's now about on par with a Pentium 2 of about half the clock speed, so this 500 MHz version is pretty close to a P2 266 in terms of general performance. The onboard VGA has also seen several improvements to performance, as well as a number of quality of life fixes and tweaks for embedded display users. The speed of the integrated VGA is quite evident in the benchmarks. The DDR memory controller got some miscellaneous improvements made to it and now runs at a higher maximum speed. I'm not totally sure what the extent of the changes are here, but it benchmarks significantly faster than the DDR memory controller in the GX2. That's about it for pluses. Very similar quirks as the GX2. We've got AC97 audio USB ports, not much in the way of expansion because they're mostly embedded processors. However, all is not lost. The Tough Dev blog wrote a post in 2015 about hacking a TR-2350 single-board computer that uses a Geode LX. They managed to track down Win98 drivers for the VGA sound and Ethernet, and mercifully posted them on their blog. Link in the description. That's right. Unlike the GX2, this fast Geode does run Windows 98, and it runs it really well. Here's a full boot from power off, then I'll switch over to my capture card and show you what it can do. Alright, so if we start up CPU ID, you can see that it doesn't know what this is, but it is still able to read all the strings out of the CPU. So we've got, level 2 cache, level 1 cache, looks good. It shows that it supports MMX and 3D Now Plus. And you can see it's got all the information we need for the caches. Anyway, if you try CPU-Z, doesn't work so well. Yeah, so CPU-Z blue screens on this. So anyway, let's run some games on this thing. WinQuake first. Now the thing about the Quake engine games is it's kind of a crapshoot whether you're going to get audio or not, so fingers crossed. Alright, sorry about the capture card. There we go. You can see this thing runs just phenomenally. Look at how smooth that is. That is so good. Alright, so let's do time demo. Demo 1. You can see this thing just blazes through this. It's so fast. So much faster than the old Geodes. It's kind of incredible. And... Alright, there. We're on map start. If I scroll up... Dun, 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 there we go. You can see 82.5 FPS. That's just wild. That's so good. Anyway, let's turn on mouse look, and yeah, look at this. This is a nice Quake machine. Like, it's pretty quick. Nice and smooth. It's about a 50% chance that we're going to get audio when we pop into this level, so yeah, looks like we did get it. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, anyway, you can see like Quake on this is phenomenal. Like this thing just flies through Quake. Of course, that assumes that I'm any good at this game. There we go. Nope, that's not the right door. It's this way. That's right. Get you. Now I have a nail gun. Merry Christmas. There's actually not anyone over there. I swear my eyes work. Get you. Get you. Oh, somebody telebragged. play way too much of this game. I'm gonna flip over to Quake II. So yeah, Quake runs great on here. So let's take another look at Hexen II. Again, about a 50% chance that audio is going to work, because reasons. Also, sorry about the screen. For whatever reason, my capture setup doesn't really like recording the VGA out of this. Anyway. Yeah, we've got sound. Awesome. So let's go play some Hexen. Beautiful. What is Hexen without cheats? Let's see if I can type. There we go. Mouse look. So the reason that these games work, and the reason that I have 5 game icons on my desktop, I'm just going to comment over this while I play, while past me plays this. The reason that I've got 5 icons on my desktop is that this display driver that I'm using, also, occasionally it just hitches like that because I'm running off of a CF card that's very slow. Anyway, the reason I've got these 5 games is the display driver I'm using is the Visa BIOS extensions driver that is linked in the ToughDev article, because that video driver that they linked in there, like they said, doesn't work very well, and in fact I couldn't get it to work for anything, so I ended up using the Visa driver. The Visa modes on this VGA chipset are actually really good. As you can see, this is running in VBA. It's just going through VBE, Visa BIOS extensions. It's just going through Windows GDI calls. So I'll just go over to this level and see. Here's the thing. Now we have no sound. So this just happens. I don't know what's up with the audio driver in this. But I mean, it comes with this SoC not actually supporting Windows 98. Anyway, so those two can do full screen over GDI, and you can see like sound works. Freaking sound works. Anyway, this one, Dune 2000, also runs in full screen over Windows GDI. The reason I'm doing this one next is that the last 2 games don't. So I'll give you a quick demo of this, because this actually runs really nicely.
Harkonnen are a threat. Atreides are close by.
Standing by. Confirmed. We are ready. Yes.
Alright, so you can see the sound works great. So if I scroll here, you can see we've got really smooth scrolling. Like, this runs really nicely on this Geode. It's kind of impressive.
Construction complete. Building.
So yeah, as long as the app can use Windows GDI calls, it can work on this video driver. And that is a very small number of apps. I tried a lot of games in Windows, and especially games that have hardware acceleration but offer a software renderer. A lot of those will use DirectDraw for that software renderer, and those are not going to work on this. The 2 exceptions that I found, you can see like the scrolling on this is fantastic even though it's GDI. Anyway, let's quit this and talk about the next 2, because these 2 do use DirectDraw for full screen, but not for windowed mode. Which is relevant right here. As you can see, Quake II starts up in window, because if I set this to 320 by 240 and say full screen, no. It says no. That's not going to happen. So what I end up doing with Quake, and actually with both of these games, Quake and Half-Life on this, is if I go over to my monitor settings, yeah, this is gonna be bad because it's gonna resize in a minute. Set my resolution to 640 by 480. Say yes, I really do want to. Sorry about the capture card, it's kind of garbage. So if I set this to 512 by 384 in a window, it actually runs pretty well. Here, I think we're gonna let it, yeah, I'm gonna let it run a demo. Again, we've got a hitch for loading because I'm running on an LCF card. But yeah, not bad, huh? Not bad at all. Anyway, this isn't the game I'm sure you're interested in, so I'm not going to bother playing any of this. Let's just go to quit, yes. Yeah, you want to see Half-Life on this thing. I don't actually own a Half-Life CD, so I grabbed the demo, Half-Life Uplink. But, it does work. Again, about a 50% chance we're going to get sound. Looks like we've got sound, that's good. So if I start a game, yeah. So I've got this set to 640 by 480 because this does the same thing that Quake II does. And I don't think there's sound. I think we lost the sound. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be sound in this. Once it comes up from black. Oh, yep, no sound. No sound. Alright, so let's quit. And try this again. It's like, yeah, I swear. Yeah, see, there's sound. And just try our luck. Let's try it again. Eh? It's a good sign. So let me show you, if I go to configuration, and video modes. If I set this to 320 by 240, I'll show you what this does. This doesn't quite do the same thing Quake II does. Rip capture card. Oh, we've got sound now. But you can see what it does. It still puts it in a 320 by 240 window, but it shoves it up in the corner and blacks out the rest of the screens. It's a slightly better presentation than Quake II's, but it still doesn't do full screen if you don't have direct draw. Alright, so, let's... Ew, okay, well, I think we're safe, so...
Get down to safety. I'm sorry, but those doors will not open until we send the all clear.
Let's see if we can hazard an increase in resolution and see if this will work. Keep our sound.
So send it already. I would love to do that, but
How do you like that?
bombardment has made a wreck of my
So you can see, like, it doesn't run terribly at 640 by 480. It's not brilliant, like it's only a Pentium 2 250 or so. It's like you can see the frame rate's not the greatest.
Very well. I will lower security on the
But
satellite access elevator, and you can go
I was always really impressed by the Half-Life 2 software renderer because we've got like colored lighting here, and we've got there's some bloom effects. If we go over here, so we've got like transparency and bloom, like that's pretty cool. More colored lighting. It's just a really neat engine. Anyway.
I'll stay here and guard this area.
So that's pretty neat. Obviously there are some caveats to running Windows 98 on the Geode LX, but for the things that do work, it's an impressive little single-board computer. It's more suitable as a retro PC than the GX2 is, certainly, but it's still not great. Hopefully, if you've got one sitting around, you can get these drivers and get some use out of it. So that's it for this video. I think that's a pretty epic way to end the Geode series, huh? Lastly, I've compiled all the DOS bench results for all of the geodes I've talked about in this video, and I'll throw those numbers up on the end of the video, which is right now. Please subscribe if you like videos about obsolete and obscure PC hardware, because I've got plenty more where this came from. Check out my Jumper Block playlist to see what I've already recorded. Thanks for watching, and have a good night. Chip on the that's reading 2 lines at once. I'll get this, I swear, I'll get it. This time I'm gonna get it. Oh, there's so much text on this one. This is not good. Ooh. Let's try that again. Oh, here we go. See if it's any better this time. Ooh. Oh. Brain bleach. Oh. Oh gosh. That's some rough stuff. Whew. Why did I put so many words on the paragraph? Why? I wrote the words. Can I say the words?